What's the most effed up, disturbing fetish not safe for work? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Okay, so there was a girl who once had a one-night stand with a guy. They obviously had sex and he came all over her chest and face. She even saw a different colour of sperm, but she thought it was just because of the lighting and didn't mind any further. The next morning, she wakes up and he's gone. Her face is all red and inflamed just like her chest. She went to the doctor and asked what was wrong with those specific areas. The doctor explained to her that this is an infection from bacteria and viruses that usually live inside a corpse or drain pipes. Turns out, the guy worked in a morgue. In conclusion, he effed the corpses in the morgue and he had an STD himself. Sure, I've heard this story before. Crush fetish. Crushing things, including small animals and insects. I heard someone speaking about it on YouTube and they said there's even really disturbing stuff like crushing babies, I think. But I have never been able to see this, so I can't say for sure. People wear shoes that are more devastating to be stepped on with, like high heels or spiked cleats. They will then take small things, bunnies, lizards, kittens, puppies, etc., and step on them repeatedly. They make it as gory as possible, and it's effing horrible. A girl in the US was arrested for it, and she was just adopting animals to murder them. Necrophiliacs' fetishes are pretty disturbing. I got told a story about this sex worker who gets paid huge cash for it. Before the session, she has an ice bath to bring her core temperature right down. She also freezes a dildo or something of that sort and puts that in her vagina to obviously make it cold down there, then lays lifeless on the bed for the client. As effed up as it sounds, it's extremely fascinating. Rape fantasies, consensual non-consent. I'm into that, and I know how, why and that, but it still gives me the creeps sometimes. It's a messed up sort of good and weird way because it's also being used as a coping mechanism. Consensual cannibalism. Yes, this is real, and yes, it means exactly what you think it means. For me, since I suffer incontinence, it's people with a diaper fetish who try to infiltrate my incontinence support groups. Like, F off with your weird perversions. Hardcore is a combo between gore/pedophilia/rape. If you're into it, feel free to paint the ceiling with your brains. Agreed? There are some fetishes I like to submit myself to. Tentacle must be amazing because I like being touched everywhere. It could be a lot of hands and being tied up. Must be fascinating. The unconscious or necrophiliac play is something I like too. I wouldn't go as far as to freeze myself to be cold as a corpse, but I would just play dead/unconscious to people to do whatever to me sexually. Once I woke to a friend jerking off to my feet that were uncovered, and I just pretended to be sleeping. Since he was focused on my feet, he didn't notice. I was awake. It was weird, but I legit loved it. So, I guess it's not the most effed up, but it's what I have. The most effed ups for me that I would stay far away is shit and anything bad smelling, or being hurt. I like things comfortable, clean, good smelling. I guess fresh out the bath corpse. I was a criminology student in college. As a result, there was a focus on deviance, including things considered sexually deviant by society. During one particular lesson, we learned the story of how a man who had a fetish for eating a person met a man who had a fetish for being eaten. Let's just say, it was a match made in heaven, in a way. The man with a fetish for eating someone was later charged with improper disposal of a corpse, and the man with a fetish for being eaten Probably was not getting an open casket funeral. There's a thing called bug chasing, and it's where people get off on the risk of catching STIs. HIV is one of the big ones. I had a friend that only slept with other people with HIV before medicine got better and reduced transmission significantly, or even remotely when you follow everything right. But he and other people he knew would get people coming to support groups trying to have sex with them because they wanted to catch it. They'd literally be offered money. These would be women and even straight men. They were attracted to the infection, not the person living with it. There's another part of it too, where they say some people get off on spreading it too, but I don't know if that's real or just a scare tactic thing to make people afraid of queer people. I really should post this under a pseudonym, but whatever. I have a friend who's an award-winning psychologist that treats extreme fetishes. I asked for some stories once, and he told me about a guy who would disable the flushing mechanism in public restroom toilets, then wait there. Once someone did their business and couldn't flush, he used the turd as fap lube. This was the only way he could achieve climax. In my university library, I found and read a book on sexual disorders. Much of the content was really kink, and if it had been written more recently, it probably wouldn't call much of the phenomena listed inside as disorders. Anyway, one case has always stuck with me. There was this dude who could not achieve climax unless he had 1 foot in a bucket of cream cheese and was being struck on the head with a brick. So that's it. The 1 foot in cream cheese while being hit on the head with a brick fetish. There was a judge in England called Rayner Goddard who used to ejaculate involuntarily when he sentenced someone to death. He became a judge in 1932, and his clerk was on record as saying that a spare pair of trousers were brought into court for when he was passing a death sentence. Cancer fetishists. Leather Smokemi, a YouTube channel where a guy smoked cigarettes in all ways possible. He would gas mask smoking, smoke cigars out of his nose, smoke multiple cigarettes in his mouth. A combination of both. With the time going by, he started to look much older, more pale. He started looking more fragile, and all this happened in just 2 years of his channel. In one of his last videos, he clearly looks incredibly sick, and in fact, he was. He just had cancer surgery. The worst and more fucked up things was the comments of his videos, like, "The man ruined his life, I love it. Me too, love the damage Dave inflicted on his lungs, so fucking hot. Hot, mate. Be great for you to do more vids where we will hear the cough and the wheeze. Hearing that is the hottest thing of all." He was starting to show his illness a little bit here, with his sunken eyes, and was getting skinnier. Cancer god. Love it when smokers' cancer starts to... Love it. Oh my god. Love it when smokers' cancer starts to shrivel them up. The comment section was sexualizing his illness. It was sexually appealing for them. His channel was seemingly meant to be fetishized. Fart boxes. Basically, someone lies in a box with a hole for their face, and someone else sits on it and farts. They have to breathe it.